All right, in his Netflix special, Selective Outrage, Chris Rock broaches multiple polarizing topics. But that's not what made the headlines. In his last 10 minutes of the show, he addresses the incident between him and Will Smith. So much so that Will Smith has been said to have responded. Sticks, what are your thoughts on Rock's special and then also Will Smith's response?
The special was cool. He definitely talked about a lot of different things going on in the world today. He made a lot of good points. There was a couple of things that I took into it that really stood out.
Mhm.
Was it funny? No. Like I can't say that I'm not one of those that's gonna say I never thought Chris Rock was funny, because his younger years he was quite comical.
Mhm.
But was this funny? I laughed once or twice, maybe. I wasn't belly aching, nothing like that. But he did pull up a couple of points that I did agree with. Like, one of the points that he said is that attention is a drug. Like, they keep saying that America has an opioid addiction and this, that, and the third, and now they own fentanyl and this, that, and the third. He was like, that's not even the biggest drug in America. The biggest drug is attention.
Mhm.
And he gave the 4 points of how the biggest ways to get attention is: number one, show your ass; number two, be infamous; number three, be excellent; and number four, be a victim. And those three things, those four, that 1 point is the one that really stuck out to me. Is that even if you ain't got ass, show your ass. Go
Mhm.
shoot up a school or go hop on stage and try to stab Dave Chappelle. Be infamous, be excellent. But being excellent is hard. The people don't want to get up and try to be excellent every morning. And to be a victim, the problem is, if everybody's a victim, the people who are actually victims can't get the attention that they need. So that point was a great point that he made in that stand up.
Yep.
As far as Will Smith being outraged, in that last 10 minutes, he was like, he said Jada started it. It was like, what the hell? Like, the lady said I should have quit my job because her husband ain't getting nominated for an award. What you mean? Like, and went through the whole situation as far as the entanglements. And he said, I didn't have no entanglement. I actually called to get my condolences. Condolences was a crazy word to use. Not gonna lie, condolences
Yeah.
was a crazy word to use in that situation. But he was like, I tried to call him and give him my sympathy and say, hey, I see all that's going on. But he said he didn't answer the phone. But then I make a joke on stage, and all of a sudden I want to get slapped up after everybody else in the world calling him a bitch. Now he want to slap the one he know he can beat. Like, come on,
Yeah.
bro. Like, come
Yeah.
on, bro. What you pull
Yeah.
from it, G?
I mean, I felt the same way you did as far as the comical value of it. I didn't think it was funny.
Mm-hmm.
I know Chris Rock to be one of the comedic geniuses.
Mm-hmm.
He can take a situation that is similar to what he was talking about in this special, the polarizing topics,
Mm-hmm.
the selective outrage topics, and he can
Mm-hmm.
make it funny. So he has been funny to me in the past. This one
Yeah.
wasn't funny just because I felt like Netflix paid him $40 million for two specials, but we all
Mm-hmm.
know they paid him $40 million because they want him to talk about the situation because it's going to bring
Mm-hmm.
views and it's going to bring new subscribers to Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't talked about this publicly since
In a
it's
year.
happened,
Yeah.
right? And so now for him to have a special on Netflix, and him to let's think about the whole setup of the show.
Mm-hmm.
He spent 50 minutes talking about all this other stuff. And then the last 10 minutes, he talked about the Will Smith situation. So it was live. The taping was
Mm-hmm.
live, but it was planned.
Mm-hmm.
He had to get the stuff off his chest, but in order for it to be what it was, he had to talk about some other stuff. And I
Mm-hmm.
agree with you. There's a lot of stuff that he talked about that I found myself like, that's a great point,
Mm-hmm.
but the comedy value of it I did not like.
Yeah.
It just wasn't funny to me. As part of and the portion of Will Smith, I didn't think was funny either. He just really said how he felt,
He really
and
said how he felt. Yeah.
try to get some comedy value out of it, but it just wasn't there.
Yeah.
Um, I think as far as Will Smith feeling how he's or so he didn't really say it publicly. It kind of came through somebody else through a back channel of
Right.
how he feels. I feel like Will Smith is just he's hurt because he thought in his opinion, in his mind, and this is my opinion, that he was bigger than this situation, that he could say he can issue an apology and he could try to like change some of his actions, and no external hurt, no external pain for him specifically would come from this, other than him losing, being banned from the Oscars for 10 years, and then also being, not the other companies, the studios not working with him. That's not real pain for him, because really, if anybody doesn't want to go to the Oscars or whatever award event, they just won't go. Evidenced by how many times we've seen, and this is a way different award show, but
Mhm.
Jay-Z and them not going to the BET concert or whatever.
Right.
I'm not concert, award show, and then
Mhm.
whatever award show. So if that being banned from an award show is like, all right, I just won't go.
Whatever. Yeah,
Or,
facts.
or I won't get any awards, but I've already gotten millions of awards prior to this. And the studio's not working with him. He has his own production company. If he really wants to make a movie or a show or something like that, he could do it himself. He has enough
In a
money. So
heartbeat.
that's not real pain. And being the fact that Chris Rock hasn't said anything about this until now, and now he says something in the way he said it,
Mhm.
I just feel like, again, in my opinion, that Will Smith thought he was above all of this and that nothing would come from it if he just said, I'm sorry. And now that the way that Chris Rock said it, it's like, oh damn, I guess I ain't who I think I am anymore.
Nah, for sure. But we've talked about this topic. We did a segment on it, earlier in the podcast,
Hmm.
and we kind of hinted towards it here recently too. But we always said that we understood why, number one, Chris Rock was trying to monetize off of this, because this actually
Yeah.
happened to him on live TV in front of millions of people. So we understand why he was monetizing it throughout the entire year, and why he
Yep.
was was sporadically talking about it here, making comments here or there,
Hmm.
to bring that attention and that awareness to himself. So I can understand why. I feel like the only reason why he spent 10 minutes on it, and which was the last 10 minutes, because he couldn't talk a whole hour about it. He probably could. He could probably stretch it out, but it would lose its value if it
Yeah.
wasn't, it would lose its value if he stretched that whole topic out for a whole hour and 10 minute live show. Plus,
Well,
like you said, he got a two show deal on it. So he might have to talk about it later too. But it's like, he had to drag it out to get to fulfill his contract, and he didn't have an hour worth of content off of that slap. Maybe he could have, but
yeah.
maybe not.
Nah, I agree with that. He doesn't have an hour full of content off of that slap. But the reason I said what I said about him waiting to the last minute is
Hmm.
because everybody's anticipating him saying
No,
something. So
true,
it's
true,
it's
true.
kind
I
of like
agree
a
with that.
climactic buildup. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So he pushed it out the whole show to essentially get the money's worth, so people get their
One hundred
money's
percent.
worth, and
Mm-hmm.
then and for Netflix to get their money's worth again. It's just like us with YouTube and any other platform
Mm-hmm.
we're on. Those watch hours and all that stuff counts
It
into
matters
a payout for him, right? Even though he's
for
already got
sure.
his money. But for Netflix is how long can I keep people on my platform?
Mm-hmm.
So he stretched it out into that last 10 minutes, and now it's like, bam! Now I'm gonna talk about Chris Rock. I'm gonna talk about Will Smith and this incident. Off topic, but yeah, that's why I said what I said.
Yeah,
But
nah, that's all good.
I definitely feel like we will continue to see this go back and forth. We'll go through periods where we don't hear anything about the two of them, in the media, and then it'll pop up again, and they'll be going back and forth about each other until they have some type of communication, some type of conversation to discuss how they felt about the situation, to hash it out. I think we'll continue to see this where they'll go periods where they don't talk, we don't hear about either one of them, and then shit like this happens, and now they both throwing subliminal messages to each other or talking through people to each other
Mm-hmm.
in order to get messages back and forth. I think they just need to, instead of doing that, they just need to come together and talk to each other to hash out
Facts.
their differences.
You took the words right out my mouth, bro. I was like, they need to come together and hash it out, because I mean, like you said, they send a subliminal message, or they send a message through other people, or like PR, their PR people just saying, hey, Will was embarrassed and he was kind of hurt by it, and it was a distasteful move by Netflix to actually air this special. But why not just get together? Like, y'all were friends before this slap. You know what I'm saying? Even though the slap
Yeah.
was a slap heard around the world, even though
Right.
it was infamous as
Right.
hell, but it's one of those things where it's like, bro, y'all were friends before this, and I understand that slap was distasteful. That slap was more distasteful than the special, to be completely honest with you.
Yep.
And Will said that he apologized. We talked about his apology on the segment that we did back in the day,
Yep.
and I think we
Back
both
in the
had
day
this.
is crazy.
Back in the day is crazy because it was what
like
episode 3, I think it was. That was like
it's
November.
like yeah, it's like you saying we did this 10,
6
12
10
years
years
ago.
ago, right? But it was like I think we both had the same take on that apology that he did. It was scripted, and it was used to kind of like publicize his production company and the water brand that he had, and these, that, the third. Like, was it really a real apology? And it came across as
Yeah.
it came across as apologetic, but it
Mm-hmm.
was used to do something else, and that's probably why Chris didn't accept the apology to begin with. But it was like, I don't know, bro. I like you said, I just feel like they just need to come together and hash it out. Chris Rock said he already not going on Gayle King. He not doing that.
Yeah.
You know
Well,
what I'm
he
saying? But
said, yeah.
they can have a special, maybe the second, but crazy idea. But maybe
Here we go.
maybe the second special on Netflix and his contract is him and Will Smith coming to talk it out.
That would be dope.
That
I think.
would be a must watch. I ain't gonna lie
Yeah.
to you.
I
That would
think
be
that
a
would
must
be
watch.
that'd be dope. An open dialogue between
Yeah.
them two. But I said it on, I think it was episode 3 that we
I think it was
did
episode 3 we
with
did
those
the
two.
Chris Rock. Yeah.
I said it then, and I still stand by it. Chris Rock has the he has the ability, he has the freedom. That's what I said. He has the freedom to feel however the hell he wants to feel about the situation, and to say almost whatever he wants to say about the situation.
Chris
And
has
Will Smith,
leverage, low key.
yeah, and Will Smith can't do anything about it. You went on, you open yourself, Will Smith, you opened yourself up to all of this by going on stage and slapping that man, and he did not retaliate in that moment. So now whatever retaliation that he gives you verbally, it's warranted.
It's warranted
You
100%.
open yourself up to that. Now, should he continue to talk about your family? Maybe not.
Yeah.
But he was talking about your wife. Again, I still think the joke at that time was distasteful, knowing the fact that even with Jada doing the things that she's done to Will, I still think that joke was distasteful, talking about her being bald, with her dealing with alopecia and all that stuff. That's just me. You know, was it so distasteful that he had to go on stage and slap him in the face? No.
No.
But again, Will, you got to take the lumps, bro.
You gotta take that
This is what
LG.
comes with that territory.
You gotta take that LG, but it also goes back to the point where everything leading up to that last year's Oscars, everybody was talking shit about Will Smith.
Mm-hmm.
50 Cent talked shit about him. Drink Champs talked shit about him. Breakfast Club talked shit. Everybody in the world was talking shit about Will Smith because of the embarrassment that his wife was putting him through.
Yep.
Like, he even Chris Rock even said, we all been cheated on, but we ain't never been interviewed about it. Like,
right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we ain't never been interviewed about it. I sucked this nigga. How you feel? Like, yeah. But it's like, it was on the main stage. Like, nobody went on TV to talk about getting cheated on. Mm-hmm. And everybody was looking at Will like he was a simp. Mm-hmm. And it's like, Jada is ruining your life. And for a little bit there, even me and you talked about it, Will looks depressed.
Yeah.
He looked hurt. He looked down. He wasn't himself because of the things that Jada was putting him through. And for him to hop up at that moment, after all of that build up, which is probably what made him go off anyway, but him to jump up after all of that build up and everything that's been going on in the media, people been calling him out, and his wife been talk about everything on her Red Table Talk. All that build up is what was like, it just boiled over and came out as a slap. And I'm just like, but like you said, to your point though, like, whatever Chris Rock does to this point is warranted because Chris brought this upon himself. Not Chris, but Will brought this upon himself. So so you got to take them L's. Got to.
100%. I mean, but again, to look to, if you read or if you have read Will Smith's book, I feel like this was coming at some point in time, because he talks about wanting to please everybody, and then but ultimately his family means more to him than anything. And so if his family's not happy, then he's not happy.
I can feel that. You probably can feel that too. Yeah.
Right. 100%. And so if Excuse me. And so if Jada at the award show looked at him and was like, "Oh, you laughing? Yeah, okay." And because he was laughing when it
He
first,
was 100%.
I don't know if the joke actually registered or if he just like, oh, he said Jada name, let me, you know what I mean. But then
Yeah.
when she looked, it was like, oh, all right,
Shit.
let me
This hurt her
jump up.
feelings.
So
Yeah.
that was him trying to please her, but not really thinking about the conflict, the wow, conflict, not really thinking about the consequences after he did what he did, and now we're at the consequences, and it's like, I
But
don't know.
could he have just said what he said after the slap? Could he have just said that? Keep my wife's name out your effing mouth. Could he have just said that and opposed to hopping up and slapping him? He could have just
I
said that, right?
he definitely could have just said that, but I think because of again the perception of who Will Smith is to the general public,
Mm-hmm.
it would have probably been he. It might not have been as bad, but it would have been almost as bad because we've never seen Will Smith act like that, and
True.
so for him to take the slap away, for him to be yelling at an award show and cussing like that, it's like, what's going on with Will Smith? Is Will Smith on drugs? Is you know what I'm saying?
But
Or
that would have
is he
been,
truly not happy in his marriage? What's going on?
but you could tell
So
he wasn't. And so
yeah,
my point is that would have blown over easier than slapping Chris Rock.
yeah,
You see what I'm saying? Like
yeah,
he could have dealt with all the assumptions about him being crazy or being unhappy or being on drugs and this that and the third. He could have been, or being drunk or whatever. He
right,
could have dealt with that more easier than slapping Chris Rock. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
You said keep my wife's name out your effing mouth. After you done slapped this man, you could have just said that to begin with, and she probably still would have been just as happy with you defending her by
right,
just saying that. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So I don't
yeah,
know. I mean, it's like I said, it gets to a point where you got to look at a bunch of different situations and you got to take your, like you said, we keep saying all the time, you got to take yourself out of it, take your emotions out of it, because it's complex to the point where we're starting to talk about different people's feelings and different people's
hmm.
actions and the way
We're
different people,
assuming,
we're assuming their actions and their
yeah,
and why they reacted the way they did, and it's like, but I mean, but Chris was right. Chris was right
yeah,
though. And he has all right to monetize it the way that he is, and he has all right to talk about it the way that he is. He's not going to
mhm,
put any action behind it because he said it in his special. He's significantly bigger than me. Like I can't beat this nigga. Like
right,
so, but he slapped the one person he knew he could beat. He
yeah,
ain't slapped nobody else. He ain't gonna
yeah,
slap 50. But he can slap Chris Rock though. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
he said it was a I'm trying to keep my, as you know, trying to keep myself from cussing. But
yeah, yeah, yeah.
he said
I
that was a bitch
appreciate
ass
that.
move. You
The
said,
podcast
yeah.
the
The
podcast
podcast
appreciates you for
appreciates it,
that.
right? But he said it was a bitch ass move. Like
Yeah,
you slapped the one dude you knew you could beat.
yeah,
So I mean,
yeah. I mean, I
I
just
agree with Chris, but I also want Will to literally like have a sit down with Chris and say, hey, we need to squash this shit because it's getting
that's
out of hand.
exactly how I was going to finish this segment. Is the best way for them to move past this is to have some type of meaningful conversation,
Mm-hmm.
where they either hash their feelings out or they agree to disagree and move forward rather than
And
going
move
tit for
forward.
tat back and forth. Because
100%.
until that happens, we're going to continue to see them go back and forth subliminally, or through somebody else to get a message out. Where it's like, man, y'all just talk to each other. It's Hollywood is small, so y'all have the room and you will bump heads or run into each other enough to where y'all can have a conversation rather than
Mm-hmm.
avoiding this whole situation and just
Exactly.
trying to keeping shit in the news.
That's for sure. That's for sure. It just needs to get squashed ASAP because I'm a low key getting tired of hearing about it. I'm not gonna lie.
Mm, yeah,
Yeah.
but somebody getting paid off of it.
100%. It is Chris.
Yeah, it's Chris. Thanks for watching the video. If you made it this far, make sure that you like the video, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell. You can also find us on all of your major streaming platforms wherever you find your podcast.